So this instructional video is all about how to import and use video files using Vernier's LoggerPro software. As we start, you'll first need to, of course, have LoggerPro installed, and you'll open up the file and it'll come up with an empty file. And you'll need to add something to that. Of course, you haven't brought in any information. We're going to get that from the video. So we go to Insert. We're going to insert a movie. It needs to be an AVI or a QuickTime movie. I've got mine saved on my desktop, so I'll look for it, and sure enough, here it is. And there's my tumble buggy. I'm going to resize this so I can see it a little bit easier. I lose a little bit of resolution, but that's okay. I find it easier to work with a bigger screen. And I play the movie, and what we've got is a tumble buggy moving off to the left of the screen. Great. I'm going to rewind the movie back to the beginning. And so I think about, what do I want to analyze here? Now, I can skip along frame by frame here, which is kind of handy. So in fact, it's very handy. And notice that really the action starts when the hand releases the car. And so I'm going to back up till just that point. Perfect. And now I want to bring up my analysis tools. And this is the button down in the lower right. And it brings up a selection of buttons. And notice if I pause over each of these, it tells me what they are. Set point, set origin, set scale, photo distance, set active point, and so on and so forth. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my scale. I do this now because if I forget to do it now, I usually forget to do it all the way through and have to go back and do it. I've pre-measured my cart axle to axle. It's 15 centimeters. And so I set it. I'm going to do this set origin as well. What this does is sets a coordinate plane on my screen, and I can put it anywhere I want. I'm going to set my 0 point at tabletop height, just at the front axle. The yellow dot, that's if you have some kind of a inclined surface or something that's not perfectly flat, but we're not going to work with that today. So there's my 0 point. Now what I'll do is I'll add points. I'm going to pick the same reference point. I like using the hubcap of these tumble buggies because it's easy to see even when it's moving. And notice that each time I add a point, it steps me forward one frame, and I often find it a little bit tedious to add these points and do them one by one. So I'll usually skip forward 3 or 4 or 5 frames and add a point. And skip, 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 add a point, skip, skip, skip. Doesn't need to skip by the same amount of points. I could skip 3 or 4 or 5. It doesn't really matter. Notice in the background, as I keep adding these points, there is a graph that's being constructed. We can't see what that graph is all about, but we'll come to that in a little bit. Step, step, step. Step, step, step. And I'm to the end of my screen, so we'll probably call it quits right about here. Oh, there's one more point I can squeeze in there, making efficient use. There. Now notice if I go ahead and rewind the video. Whoop, hang on a second. Let's select a point. Maybe I've entered something in error, so I'm going to select a point, and by pushing my delete key after it's been selected, I eliminate that point. So it never fails that you put in something bad. Now I'm going to rewind the video and play it, and notice my dots are gone, but oh, there they are. They follow along with the car now. It's part of the AVI file. Now let's take a look at those graphs. I've got a blue series of dots, which represents my vertical position, and I've got a red series of dots, which represents my horizontal position. I'm going to shrink that graph down. I'm going to go up and insert another graph. This one comes up by default as y velocity on the vertical axis. And before I start to analyze it, I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out and make it so it sort of matches up with my position graph. Now, the graph itself looks kind of herky-jerky. It's hard to see what's going on here. It auto-scales the vertical axis when I bring it up. When I go and put my x velocity on here as well, it's going to auto-scale it again, and it'll make things a little bit easier to interpret. I was just so zoomed in, my essentially zero vertical velocity looked like it was crazy. But really what I've got is a zero vertical velocity and a negative constant horizontal velocity because I'm moving backwards to the left of the screen from my origin. Nice. Now we could be doing some other stuff. We could put on regression lines and so on, but for now, we're all set.